CVA's Accurate Series, Bagara barrels for guaranteed accuracy, nitride for guaranteed rust proofing, and a rifle guaranteed to be the best muzzleloader you've ever shot. CVA, it's just a better gun.
This segment's being brought to you by 3rd Regiment Game Calls, friends, family, and faith in the outdoors. One call at a time.
All right, guys, this week's Pictures of the Week are being brought to you by the fine folks over at Flowers Processing. Won't be too long, they'll be getting ready to go. They do want to remind you guys they're not going to be open for the velvet season, but come September 28th, they'll be open and be open throughout the rest of the season. So if you want to get your hands on the finest snack sticks and jerky, and they make just about anything you could possibly want when they're processing deer, and they are the very best at it. So be sure to check out Flowers and tell them thank you for all they do. All right, our first picture here, we didn't get any last names on this picture, and that's all right, but this is Addie, Richard, and Jim, and this is 8 of the catfish that they caught recently. Said they actually had a great day. I don't know how many they ended up with, but this was 8 of their best fish, and they caught these fish on Woods Reservoir. So congratulations to those guys on a fantastic day of fillet catching. And here next, this is Sandy Tomlinson, and this is a 5-pound, 6-ounce largemouth bass that she caught on the Cumberland River recently up in Trousdale County, and that's one of the areas that we actually fish in a lot there around home. So congratulations to her on that fish. That's a very good looking bass. And here we've got Chris and Zach Wright along with their buddy Jay Gregory, and they do a lot of creek fishing in around the Middle Tennessee area. And a couple of weeks ago they went out and took Zach, and he's just now getting into fishing real well, and he has caught the bug. I tell you, Anthony, this kid is ready to go fishing every day now. So his daddy Chris is mighty excited about it, and just loves getting him out there and going. So I look forward to some more pictures from them here sometime soon.
Well, I can relate getting into the fishing.
I tell you what, man, there ain't nothing like getting the kids into it.
That's right.
And then here on the end, speaking of doing a little trolling, John Schaefer sent this picture in about a week ago. This is an 18-inch sauger that he caught while he was actually trolling on Old Hickory Lake. And that particular day, he caught crappie, bass, stripe, and sauger trolling on the same day, you know, same area. So when you get into that trolling, there's no telling what you're going to get on the end of the line next.
I know, that's why I was curious what he was using.
Yeah.
I noticed it didn't tell.
Yes, but congratulations to John on that fish. That is a mighty good looking fish there. We appreciate you sending that in to us. And this week's deal of the week, this is the boat of the week this week, is a 2019 Phoenix 20 PHX. This boat's loaded. It comes with a Mercury 250, a Minn Kota Ultrex trolling motor, Lawrence Electronics, and just about anything else you could ever want on one. Now, they've only got a few of these 2019s left down there, so you better give Randy Bolin a call, 615-784-4449, to get prices and details, and get down there and see them at Nashville Marine, and be sure to tell them that Southern Woods and Waters sent you. And you can send your pictures here to us at 474 James Robertson Parkway, or like we always say, the best way to get them to us and fastest, send them to us over on Facebook or Instagram. We look forward to sharing them right here on the show in the next few weeks. So, well, Anthony, you know, we hit just a little bit before we took off a while ago that you live in one of the CWD county. What county are you in up there?
I'm in Hardeman.
You're in Hardeman County. Now, you have actually had yourself a deer that tested positive for CWD, correct?
Yes, I filmed it, and the property I was hunting on, I didn't have permission to shoot that particular deer. I was really only looking for 2 certain deer, and I'd already killed one of them. And so when this one come out, I filmed it, and immediately I sent the video to the game warden there, Bubba Spencer, and to the landowner. And I said, this deer's sick, and I said, I think he needs to go. Well, both of them immediately. Of course, the landowner, he said, hey, if it's still there, drop it. So, I mean, I did, and 10 days later, James Kelly of TWRA called me, wanted to know where I killed it. He said it did test positive. I mean, I bet probably 18.5-inch wide rack, and Brandon, that thing didn't probably weigh 105 pounds.
I remember the videos of it. He was pretty darn poor looking.
It sure was.
And I tell you, he probably wouldn't have been alive a couple more days.
I figure
that.
It wouldn't have been much longer. But and I filmed one the last day of season that was way worse than that. He'd already lost both sides of his rack. I'm going to say he probably weighed 80 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, you know, a lot of people, because they're not directly in the zone. Not that they necessarily think it's not real, but I don't think they understand really the effects that it has, on the herd. And it really does. It's going to have an effect on the local deer herd. It is. And for those that aren't in the area right now, it's kind of that, well, it's not going to happen here mentality. But there's going to be a lot of regulation changes.
And it is a lot. It's a lot.
But it's all for a good cause. Because they're trying to keep this regulated, keep it in this particular area. And it's going to be up to everybody to make sure that happens.
Yeah, the containment, that's one of the main, because in my opinion, we're not going to stop it. I mean, we're just not. So, the best thing we can do is contain it. And I think TWRA has done a pretty dang good job about, how we're going to do it,
They have. And you kind of mentioned a while ago, and I actually wanted to get into that. Here in a couple of weeks, when we have the velvet hunt here statewide, for most of us, it's archery velvet hunt.
Right.
You mentioned you guys are going to be able to use muzzle loaders.
Yeah. In the 8 counties, you really got 3 CWD positive counties. That's Fayette, Hardeman, and Madison. Then the others, which is Shelby, McNairy, Chester, Haywood, and Tipton. And so I might be missing one, but anyway, they're in the high risk zones. So we can use muzzle loaders down there. Now, one thing a lot of people I think might get in trouble is in those 8 counties during this velvet hunt, orange is required. Whether you hunt with a bow or not, orange is required.
Yeah, it's just like any other muzzleloader season.
That's right.
If you're a bow hunter year-round, and you're bow hunting during an open muzzleloader or rifle season, you are required to have your hunter orange on, and this will be no different. A lot of people have said, no, we don't have to wear orange. It's bow season. Yes, you do. In those counties, it is muzzleloader season, and you will be required to wear hunter orange.
That's right.
And you should. I mean, for the safety of yourself and those around you. But that was definitely something we wanted to make sure we mentioned tonight, was that if you're in one of those counties, you got to wear your hunter orange, whether you're bow hunting or not. You need to have that hunter orange on.
And one other thing I think is very important is if you live in Fayette, Hardeman, or Madison, or not if you live there, if you hunt there, if you harvest a deer, it cannot leave those 3 counties unless it's deboned, caped out, and a clean skull cap.
Yeah, and that's really one of the most important parts of it because of containment.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason. And by doing this muzzleloader season, it's because TWRA is taking the step of giving the hunters the opportunity to do this, and do their part in helping, contain the situation and do their part in it. So, it's a big deal not only that everybody participates, but that they follow these regulations, because that is going to be super important.
It sure is.
And they're all required to check in those 3 counties. Is that correct?
No, they're not. They have to check them in, but there's not a mandatory check-in weekend. It's 2 weekends that the other 5 counties have mandatory weekends.
And they'll have to take a deer physically to the check-in station.
6 counties. Madison, you still do. Fayette and Hardeman, you do not have to have the mandatory check-in. You still got to check them in.
Right.
But you don't have to carry them because they already know CWD's there. So they want to, check more. They're still going to be checking samples, but they want more samples checked in the other counties. And then all the surrounding counties that touch the high-risk zone.
Yeah. Well, guys, we're going to go over and do this week's Product of the Week. This week's Product of the Week is being sponsored by Caney Fork Outdoors. You can stop in and see them at the Donaldson Plaza Shopping Center. Talk to Ryan and the gang over there, or get off at the Center Hill Dam exit off I-40. Head right towards the dam, and you can stop in and see them at the Big Rock Market right there at the bottom of the hill. And they can get you outfitted and ready to go to the river, whether it's for a day or for the rest of the season. So be sure to give them a shout and tell them thank you for all they do for us here at the show.
Brandon, the Product of the Week right here. I don't know if you can zoom in on it. It's called an Arky Crappie Crank. And I'm going to tell you, I have caught, and people may not believe, I've caught thousands on these. Because I average 4,000 to 6,000 crappie a year. And over the years, I catch a lot on these. And these right here run 2 to 6 foot deep. But the more line you throw out, you go a little faster. They will get on down to about 8 foot. Now, they do make this with a longer bill on it that will run deeper. But this time of year, when they get in those summer schools, you can go through there, and if you got 4 poles out, and of course, they got these treble hooks on them, and you go through and you get 4 on each pole, or 4 at one time, and can try to get them in the boat. Because I know my buddy Purtle, he tried to get one day, buried a hook up in his hand, and had the crappie still on there, and he said, I said, man, you want to go to the doctor? He said, no, just cut it out. You know, he said, I want to keep
on
fishing.
fishing, right?
He said, they're biting too good. I'm not going to leave. So that's what happened.
That's right, and that is your main go-to trolling bait right
yes,
there. So.
I troll that, and the Strike King, curly tail, shad poles, which I do that. But at least on one pole, we'll have these, and then if we start catching them, sometimes we may switch to all 4 poles on that.
Well, guys, we're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we're going to open the phone lines for you, so be ready to call in with your questions or comments. We'll see you back here in just a minute.